Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. I am in a family situation where I cannot leave for more than a few days to seek the guidance and blessing of a guru to further my sadhana every day. Should I continue my journey without a guru? Or just wait until a guru will come into my life when it's the right time? Or should I actively seek out to accelerate my sadhana? So the family situation that this person has mentioned is that she has a child who has autism and doesn't have supporting family members to help her take care of the child. It's important to realize that our sadhana, our spiritual practice, is not separate from our duties in the world. It's not that I have over here my duty and my dharma and my responsibilities, and then I have over here my sadhana. Actually, our spiritual practice is to fulfill our duties. In the Bhagavad Gita, the core scripture, Lord Krishna explains so clearly, it's 700 beautiful verses on fulfilling your dharma, fulfilling your life purpose, attaining awakening, enlightenment, all of that. And it's rooted in, from the beginning to the end, through all 700 verses, it's rooted in do your duty. If you had to, when I was in school and we had big, thick books to read for classes, there was a series that came out called Cliff Notes, where you could buy, let's say you had to read Wuthering Heights or some other beautiful book that we were studying in English literature. Your choice was to read the book of a few hundred pages, or your choice was to buy these Cliff Notes that were, 10 pages or 15 pages on what are the core teachings. Now, obviously, for serious students, we were supposed to read the full book. Clearly, the teachers did not want anybody using Cliff Notes. But students when we're busy, when we've got so much going on. So a lot of people would buy these Cliff Notes and not actually read the full book. If you had to prepare the Cliff Notes, this essence in bullet point of the Bhagavad Gita, right up there at the very top would be, do your duty. Do your duty. That's what you're here for. And in doing your duty, you are fulfilling your dharma. A lot of people think somehow, I'm stuck doing my duty, and so I don't have the time or the energy to find my purpose, or to find my dharma, or to engage in my spiritual practice. But the Bhagavad Gita makes it so clear your duty is your spiritual practice. At the beginning of it, Arjuna says to Krishna, forget it. I don't want to fight this battle. I'm just going to go and I'm going to meditate in the caves. I'll become a sadhu. Now you'd think, from the perspective of spiritual awareness, awakening, enlightenment, truth, you'd think that God, in the form of Krishna, would say, great idea. Don't worry about this kingdom. Don't worry about the land. Don't worry about anybody. Yes, go to the cave. Do your meditation. Forget everything else. This is just an illusion. Get out of here. I was waiting for you to realize you were stuck. Just get out of here. Go to the caves. But he actually said the exact opposite. He said, not so fast. Your Dharma is right here. You can go to the caves and you can avoid this. But in doing so, you will never fulfill your Dharma. You will never fulfill the purpose for which you have come onto earth. And so I say to this beautiful mother with a child with autism, that is not separate from your sadhana. Don't think of your child over here and your sadhana over there. How can you, in being with this child, see the divine? All of our spiritual studies, our spiritual practice, is rooted in how do we see God? Everywhere, right? We put this tilak on our third eye. We chant beautiful prayers, especially to Lord Shiva to help us open the third eye. We do meditations upon the third eye. Why? What does the third eye show us? It's not just another place to put eyeliner and mascara on. Another item I can make up. We open the third eye because it's what shows us God. The Agya Chakra, this energy center of the power of discrimination. It's not discrimination of, oh, you're fat, you're skinny, you're dark, you're white, you look rich, you look poor. It's discrimination of truth from untruth, meaning content from form, divinity being the truth, from form being all of this which makes us think we're not God, that makes us think we're the body. And so all of our sadhana is rooted in that awareness that we are all the divine. That is the highest goal when you look at Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, right? We begin with yam and niyam. Where do we end up? Samadhi. What is samadhi? Union. Union with what? The divine. That union of the self with the divine. That's yoga. That's sadhana. That is not something for which we are supposed to push away our duties. If the universe has put into your hands, into your lap, a situation that requires your attention, allow that to be your sadhana. To this woman, I would say, how can your tending to this child be your sadhana? How in this can you see the divine in this child? Can you see God in this child? Can you see God in yourself as the mother, the creator of this child? And of course, that doesn't mean don't go to holy places. It doesn't mean don't read holy books. Of course, read them. Come on pilgrimage. Bring the child. Bring the child on pilgrimage. The question is how to take these life challenges and actually bring them into the sadhana. Many of you may know, not necessarily many of you here, but many of our family online know, that one of the things that I've been in the midst of over the last 7 months is that my mom had a really bad stroke, a horrendous stroke, a brain hemorrhage. That's what made me go back to America in April. And aside from the beautiful and amazing moments there of a book launch and spiritual pilgrimage and whatnot, most of the time I actually spent taking care of her. And so now I've brought her back here with me. So Mom is here, literally, like up there. Not in the sky, like in a room up there. Once she gets over jet lag, we're going to be bringing her to Arti and to Satsang, and everybody can meet her. But I mention it here because this was not what I was expecting. She's only 77, which is really young, especially by Western standards. I know in India, by 60, people are like, "Chalo mere ko upar le chalo," But by American standards, it's really young still. Not what I had in mind, not what I had planned, not part of the sadhana, especially for a sannyasi. But this was what the universe handed. And it's been such an extraordinary experience and such an extraordinary opportunity to actually just be in the presence of love. She's lost 97, 98, sometimes 99.9%, but usually around 97 or 98% of her cognition. So she pretty much doesn't know where she is, who she is, anything that's going on. And it's an opportunity to just actually be in the presence of love. No story, no identity, no drama, no expectation. And I share this with the mother of this child and everybody in so many different situations of duty, of challenges, of unexpected things that arise that we think are interfering with our sadhana. That actually the question is, how can I make this my sadhana? So how can I make this challenge, this duty, actually an opportunity to dive deeper? To be actually able to be in the presence of the divine in any circumstance. Because ultimately that's what the highest goal of sadhana is. So let your son be your sadhana and bring him on pilgrimage. I know it's a challenge. We just brought my mom from LA all the way here in a wheelchair, unable to move. It's a challenge. But it's doable. It's absolutely doable. And until it's able to be done, let your home be your spiritual pilgrimage place. Let there be mantras playing in the house. If you don't have time to sit and close your eyes and do japa, let your japa play as the mantra coming throughout the speakers of your home. It'll benefit your child as well. So there's always ways to bring sadhana into our life. We just have to realize that our life isn't separate from our sadhana.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
So, there are these hierarchy of duties, right? So, first, of course, beginning with, myself, and then my family, my workplace, my society, my world. So sometimes they're not so easy to recognize, and they kind of come together. And then how do you begin to sort of maneuver through them and juggle them in a graceful way?
So the hierarchy of duties, she said. We've got in our lives so many different duties to our families, to ourselves, to so many different ways, places. How do we create that hierarchy? Like, how do we know what's more important? And also then, how do we juggle them? There isn't any equation that I can give you. There isn't any one right answer. For me, on a personal level, what I have found is that the way to do it is to ask myself several questions. First of all, is this duty something that is in alignment with where I know I am going spiritually in my life? Because there's a lot of different places that we also get our ideas of duties from. So for example, we have our own idea. Every one of us, if I went around and said, okay, tell me all your duties, everybody would have a list of what we think our duties are. Some come from within ourselves. A lot of them come from our culture. Scroll social media or watch TV and you're going to discover you've got a duty to lose weight. You've got a duty to be much, much more attractive than you are. You've got a duty to have really white teeth and clear skin. Right? I mean, this is what advertising is. It basically tells us that if you are not looking your best, you have somehow failed. I just spent, as I mentioned, so many months in California where pretty much everywhere you go, there's some or other anti-aging clinic, place, billboard, sign. Anti-aging is like the big thing. Reverse aging, anti-aging. Now, obviously, we all know that time only moves forward. We know that we all have physical bodies that are doing what matter does, which is degenerate. at pretty predictable rates. We've got some ability through what we eat, our exercise, our mindset, supplements, to make it a healthier run. Don't smoke, you get an extra several years. But the physical body is degenerating. We can't anti-age or reverse age. But I mention it because there's this idea that somehow, if you are aging, you are failing. That you're failing in your duty. That if you've got gray hair and wrinkles, you've somehow failed. Like, didn't you see the sign on your corner? You should have gone into the store, into the clinic. Like, there's a billboard everywhere. Don't give in to aging. So then we think, well, it's our duty to not age. It's our duty to look like we're 25 our entire lives. So when you think about duties, we've actually got a lot of duties that are not really duties, that have come into us because of marketing, because of advertisement. Then we've got some duties that are not our duties, but our culture imposes them upon us. Be a good girl, right? Good girls don't do this. Good boys don't do that. Behave yourself. What are the neighbors going to say? Right? We've got duties that are given not because they're actually our personal dharma, not because they're leading to our awakening, but just because they're sort of societal norms. Don't laugh too loudly, don't sit like that, don't speak like this, don't use those words, don't go here, don't act like that. And of course, each society has different norms, but a lot of us, we internalize these as duties. I have a duty to be a good girl. I have a duty to be the good boy or the strong boy. Whatever our norms are that we're given. Let me be very clear. Those are not your duties. We may choose to abide by societal norms. It certainly makes for smoother functioning societies when kind of everybody does the same thing. But you also end up with a lot of oppression. You end up with a lot of repression. You end up with a lot of discrimination. So do not think that it is your duty to do what the neighbors say is what a good girl does or a good boy does. It's not your duty to make the neighbors jealous of you or your family. So once you start teasing out the duties that our social media feed, that the advertising, that society, that our neighbors give us, we realize we've actually got a lot fewer duties. And those duties are to our own awakening, to our own truth. But again, that doesn't mean that it can only happen in a cave. As Lord Krishna taught in the Gita, it happens through fulfillment of those duties, which actually are part of your Dharma. And that's not something that there's an equation for, but it is something that each of us know inside. And so don't allow anyone else to convince you of what your duty is. Check in with yourself. On some level, the caterpillar knows its duty is to become a butterfly. And when it gets that signal to climb the tree, no matter how many friends it has to leave down below, no matter how many other caterpillars may be saying, "What are you, crazy? Don't go, don't go," it's going to go anyway. Because on some level it knows. And on some level we all actually are able to tap in to that higher calling. And by the way, that higher calling can be found in sweeping the floor, in picking up trash, in cleaning toilets, in making a cup of tea. It has nothing to do with what the actual thing is. It has to do with, are you able through this? Is this taking you to your next level of awakening, of truth, of connection with the divine in yourself? And that's something that only you can answer. So I would say, in terms of the balance of duties, is check in with yourself. What is it that someone else is convincing you is your duty because they want you to do that? Like the neighbors really want you to act like them so that their children don't get the wrong idea from you and also go astray? I mean, that's usually what's up, right? You know, it's get your kids to behave. Why? I mean, why would the neighbors worry? They worry because so that their children don't get these wrong ideas from your children. And it gives them a better handle on their own kids. But don't take that as your duty or your dharma. You can only find that from within. And ask yourself with each aspect, is this helping me? Am I able to peel back another layer of myself through it? And then you'll know.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
मेरे मन की बात भी आपने जान ली. मैं यम नियम के बारे में भी मनोमन सोचता था, तो आपने पतंजलि के 8 प्रिंसिपल है उसके बारे में फर्स्ट जो प्रायोरिटी में है, फर्स्ट स्टेप है, उसके बारे में बताया. मेरी आपसे प्रार्थना है, हम जो प्राइमरी बेस के 2 से हमारा जो 5 यम और 5 नियम है उसके बारे में, उससे तो आगे कूद जाते, लेकिन आसन, प्राणायाम, प्रत्याहार, धारणा, ध्यान, समाधि में लग जाते हैं. लेकिन जो प्रिंसिपल है हमारा पहला यम और नियम, उसमें हम फेल क्यों जाते हैं?
Beautiful question. So what he asked is, in the 8 limbs of yoga as given by the sage Patanjali, we begin with yam and niyam. And he said, but why is it that everyone tends to skip over those and go straight into asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharan, dhyan, samadhi, that we forget or we skip over yam and niyam. Why? The reason I think is because asana is something that I can do for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. फिर I am done. Tick कर दिया, मेरे आसन हो गया. ठीक? प्राणायाम ठीक है. 5 minute किया, 10 minute किया, 15 minute किया, 5, 10 minutes, whatever it may be, done. उड़ गए. Tick, I've done my pranayam. Similarly, all of that, other than samadhi, everything is something that I can actually practice. I'm sitting here, staring at a candle flame, chanting a mantra, meditating. Cool milake. 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and I am done. And that's if I have a long asana practice. If it's a just Surya Namaskar, बड़े आराम से 15-20 मिनट में मेरा सारे काम हो गया. Right? We can be done with all of the others, from asana up through meditation, depending on how long we choose to practice. You could be done in 15-20 minutes a day. Couple rounds of Surya Namaskar, a little bit of this, little bit of that, 5 minutes meditation, and you can be done. And you can have checked off the day, spiritual practice, complete, done. Now I can go to work, cheat people, lie, hoard, make money through oppressing other people, suppressing other people, through violence. The problem with yam and niyam, वो तो 24 घंटे का काम है. कोई नहीं करना चाहता. Yam and niyam is actually how we live. It's not a 5-minute-a-day job that I can do and then I stand up and I'm done. Yam and niyam, if I'm really going to live it, if I'm really going to live by non-violence and truth, non-stealing, non-hoarding, well, that means literally everything I buy, everything I eat, everything I wear, everything I speak, how I travel, how I make a living, what brand of shampoo I use. Literally, every single moment, what my handbag is made out of, what brand of different things I am buying, everything. How I am speaking to people. We're running late. We're supposed to be somewhere. The phone rings. We pick it up and we say, yeah, I'm on the way. Rasta pe hain. Now we know we haven't even left the house. Right? How many times? Ha, rasta pe hain. And in our mind, yeah, we're just getting ready to leave. But if I'm really practicing yam and niyam, and I am living in satya, truthfulness, there's no such thing as a white lie. A white lie is just an excuse to allow us to speak untruth. But if I'm committed to truthfulness, it makes life a little bit more difficult, because I can't kind of smooth talk my way through things. I really have to look at every moment and every minute of my life. But you'll notice that Patanjali made yam and niyam the very first limbs of yoga. And the truth is, chahe ek building ho, chahe makan ho, chahe apni योग हो, अगर हम तीसरी मंजिल से शुरू करें, कोई भी तूफान आ जाए, हम गिर जाएंगे. जब तक solid foundation ना हो, I said, there's a reason that Patanjali made those, limb 1 and 2, made them the foundation. Because whatever you're building, whether it's a yoga practice, or a home, or any structure, you cannot start on the 3rd floor. You have to have a foundation. If you try to start on the 3rd floor, the minute any little storm comes, any wind comes, your building will topple over. And this is where the foundation of our practice of yoga has to be in how we live. In nonviolence, in word, in thought, in action. And it takes us through a very beautiful practice. The last, of course, Ishwar Pranidhan. Surrender. Well, nobody wants to surrender. Nobody wants to surrender. We all want to have this like death grip on life. What I want, how I want it, when I want it. But Yam and Niyam reminds us that ant mein, we actually have to surrender. So it's beautiful to remember that this is the core of yoga. It's the core of that practice of union. And without it, you're just doing exercises. Tika, take your foot, put it behind your head, no problem, that's great. But then it becomes acrobatics, not actually yoga.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. Absolutely, I believe in vibrational healing or energy healing. We're energetic beings. Think for a moment. Because as many of you know, I'm a scientist at heart and by history. So for me, I love to weave together the science and the spirituality. And of course, they're not nearly as different as people think. But so let's look at science for a moment. If I blow a whistle at a very, very high frequency, such a high frequency, in fact, that maybe you can't even hear it. Your dog can hear it. Dogs can hear very high frequencies, but you couldn't hear it. I could shatter a glass on the other end of the room. sure there must be a whole bunch of YouTube videos about that. We used to see it when I was young in science class, long before there was YouTube. But I would bet that if you went onto YouTube and you searched for some video of a very, very high frequency sound shattering a glass, that you could easily find them. How does that happen? Well, it happens through one very simple form of energy: sound waves. Sound waves come from my whistle and they move through the air. We can't see them. In some cases, they're at a frequency we can't even hear. But when that frequency is at a certain level, it shatters the glass. I don't know the physics of exactly how that happens, but it does. In the same way, people who have very, very loud jobs, so maybe they're rock musicians, or maybe they are the cleaning guy in a concert hall where rock musicians play all the time. Maybe they work in the airport on the runway where the noise from the airplanes. If they're not really careful and wear special ear protection, they'll actually damage their eardrums. You actually can burst an eardrum. How does that happen? Again, energy. Waves of sound of different frequencies that enter into my ear. They go into the ear canal. That's how we hear anyway. Forget bursting eardrums. How do we hear? We hear through energy. Different waves at different frequencies. They tickle little hairs inside the inside of our ear, and those little hairs send little signals to parts of our brain, mostly in the temporal lobes, right? And then we hear things. And then it goes higher up, and then we start to understand, what does that mean? It's all energy. So if one frequency can shatter a glass, if you've ever been to a rock concert, you know you can be sitting 300 meters from the stage or from a speaker. But if they're loud, you feel it in your body. And when you leave that concert, your body is still kind of vibrating like this. Music is over, but your body is still vibrating. How? It's just energy of waves. Sound is an energy. Light is an energy. Heat is an energy. Think about, it's winter time for us now in India. One of the most beautiful things in the world is to go outside in the middle of the day when the sun is at its peak and to just be there in the sun. And it's just lovely. And it changes the whole way that your body feels. It's healing. But not just healing on a physical level, like the whole emotional body just goes in that sun. Well, what is that? It's just energy. It's light energy and it's heat energy. It's what comes off the sun. But when that hits my skin, not only does it eventually change the color of my skin from, white to brown or red, depending on how long I stand there, but it gives me a very deep inner experience of warmth, of niceness. Similarly, if you go out in the nighttime and you don't have enough clothes on, you feel cold, right? It changes how you feel inside. So these are all really basic, simple examples of how energy impacts the body. So then you take practices like Reiki, like pranic healing, like so many forms of healing that don't actually rely on physical touch. So it's not a massage, but it's just through the energy. Well, if I can emit sound waves from my mouth that could shatter a glass across the room, why couldn't I emit waves from my hands that can change the molecular activity of what's happening in someone else's body? Of course we can. Now again, you have to know what you're doing. I can't just shout and expect the glass to break. It's not about volume, it's actually about frequency. So you have to know a little bit of what you're doing. Or it has to be just so aligned with the divine flow, so aligned with the flow of the universe. So if you don't know Reiki, you don't know pranic healing, you don't know a specific energy healing, don't worry. The power that you have through being aligned with the power of the universe, the healing power of the universe, is very great. And love is the greatest way to catalyze and channel that energy. So absolutely, I believe in it. And I've seen it. I've seen it work with my own eyes. I've seen it work in my own life. And it's something that we all should have faith in, both as recipients of it, but also as the ability to give it, because we all have the ability. Some of us may have refined it better. Like some people can whistle better than others. But we all have it. And even without refining it, if we can just align ourselves with that healing energy of the universe, we can become channels of it. And certainly our world needs as much healing as it can possibly get. So align yourself. Know that you, yes, talking to every one of you, can be that healer. Just tap into it.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with Inspiration and Transformation. You realize that by losing your calm, you're not actually achieving anything. So if I have a meltdown, if I get furious in anger or wrapped up in fear, frustrated, tense, I don't actually achieve anything. None of those emotions or feeling states makes me more of an efficient being to tackle whatever situation the world has given me. So it's not like, oh, you're angry, that's great, now you're going to be so much better at dealing with the situation, you're worse. Or, oh, you're really stressed out, oh, wonderful, now you're going to be in the best shape to manage the situation. You'll be worse. So we realize, number one, that losing my calm actually makes me less able to handle the pressure, less able to deal with the pressure. And then I realize that my peace, my internal state, is actually the most precious thing. And why am I so willing to throw it around as though it were something so cheap? It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice to develop really deep internal peace and stillness and serenity. Why would I throw that away so cheaply? Just because there were some external pressure, or just because someone was saying something or doing something to me or around me. To take that. So we realize how precious it is. And on a technique basis, 2 techniques. Number 1 is in the mind. Number 2 is in the breath. So in the mind, when the pressure builds, you use that gyan, that wisdom, that buddhi, intelligence, to say to yourself, am I making the situation better? Is my stress, is my anger, is my frustration, is my despair, is it actually helping? When I realize it's not, I drop out of my head and into my heart. And in my heart, I become expansive. So rather than being contracting in my mind, anger contracts, fear contracts, stress contracts. Greed and lust also contract, but they're a different subject. So I drop from the contraction in the mind to an expansion in the heart. And now I'm able to sit in the presence of that which is. And then I drop into my breath. Because the breath literally changes the nervous system. So once I realize I don't want to be stressed, I don't want to be angry, this is not helping, I want to change that. But I want to change it in a way that is spacious and expansive and full of love and accepting that which is rather than pushing anything away. I drop into the breath. And the lower and the deeper and the slower the breath is, the calmer I am. This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week. And I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on Om Times Radio.